carer and adopter. So, good afternoon. Thank you for coming in this afternoon and sparing us your time. So, adopting. Obviously, it's a subject that we're talking more and more about these days, and obviously the demand is getting greater. So, Mark, first of all, how big is the need for adopters? I'm guessing not, I mean, in North Devon particularly, but generally and across the country.
Yeah, well, first of all, Paul, thanks for inviting us in. I really appreciate that. Yes, it has been an increasing issue over the last 2 or 3 years, really. The children in care, in local authority care, has increased, and the number of adopters has decreased, and that's been a national issue and a local issue, particularly in North Devon, really, because I manage the Devon Adoption Service, and we're part of Adopt South West, as you said. But a majority of our children, I guess, are in Exeter and South Devon, and for a variety of reasons we can't place them in Exeter or South Devon, so then we look to other parts of the county to place the children. So obviously North Devon is an obvious choice, and unfortunately the numbers of adopters in North Devon over the last couple of years have declined, so we're really encouraging anyone out there, anyone in North Devon that's considering to adopt a child or provide a forever family for a child, to get in touch with us to help because we really want to try and keep the children, Devon children, within Devon, because we've got excellent support services within Devon, and we know that we can support the adopter and the child better if we can find a placement within Devon.
Do you try and keep the children as local to what they're used to? Or do you find that sometimes that can be an issue?
Yeah, well, it's a fine balance, Paul, because obviously for very good reasons we can't place them too close to maybe where their birth parents are and the birth family are. So we have to take that into consideration, but we also need to be mindful of their sort of cultural and sort of heritage and their identity as well, and their sort of roots. So it is a sort of carefully sort of managed balance, really. But generally, we're lucky in Devon because geographically it's a big county, so we have options to place children within Devon, but keep them within Devon Adoption Services.
So I'm guessing every child and every case is individual, and you have to look at the circumstances of every child. I mean, this is something we talked about before we came on air, and that is, do you feel that there are more children now requiring adopting or fostering, or is it the fact that it's just becoming, the public awareness of it is becoming greater?
No, it has been a real shift. So I think, I'm not exactly sure what all the reasons are, but I think historically one of the main reasons maybe that put off adopters in the past is that there were few children to adopt and a lot of adopters wanting to adopt children. Like I say, over the last 2 or 3 years that's changed. So if you look at Devon now, for every 3 children that we have looking for a home, you only have 2 adopters for those 3 children. So yeah, so I think, and that's a national trend as well as a Devon trend.
Which is very sad, isn't it? Very, very sad indeed. I'm guessing it's just a society as we live in today that's creating this problem.
Yes, I guess so, yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, why do you think there is a shortage of adopters?
Well, like I said, I think historically some adopters, maybe people that considered it, probably thought, well, actually, I'm not sure because there seems to be a lot of us around and not many children. There has been some sort of legislation a few years ago that made it sort of more difficult to apply for adoption orders. That now has sort of changed and that's lessened. So I think it's probably a variety of reasons. I think another reason, really, I think maybe people had a sort of an idea in mind of what an adopter may look like, and that's changed radically, rightly so, in the recent years. We now welcome sort of inquiries from everyone, really, regardless of the sort of age, gender, their marital status, their ethnicity, whether single adopters, married couples. Yeah, we welcome it, you know, whereas I think historically maybe people have looked at it and thought maybe adopters are a particular type of person. Well, that's definitely not the case. We encourage anyone to inquire about being an adopter.
Do you find also, again, this is going back to a conversation that we had off air with Phillipa, do you find that people that have been adopted themselves, are they more willing to be an adopter?
Yes, we do find that sometimes. Yeah, we do, because yeah, they can, you know, they obviously appreciate it from their own personal experience, yeah, and they understand sort of the implications of a child being adopted and being adopted themselves. But there again, like I say, we have people's motivation to adopt can be huge and wide and varied.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a national shortage of adopters, or is this more of a regional problem?
No, it's a national and a regional problem. When I speak to my colleagues across the country, other adoption managers, they're all having similar issues. Our colleagues across the Southwest, we're part of Adopt Southwest, so we work closely with Somerset, Torbay and Plymouth, and they're all finding the same issues. So yes, it is a sort of a national and a local, as well as a local issue.
And are there particular age groups of children that there's a greater need for? Do you find it easier to find adoptive parents for certain age groups, and there's certain age groups where they're not so popular? That's a wrong term, I know, but you know what I'm trying to say.
The unfortunate reality is that, that some children are more difficult to find forever families for than others, and that's the harsh reality of it. In Devon, we have children of all ages. We have children, single children, we have children of parts of sibling groups, so we have a variety of children waiting to be adopted and look for their forever families. But yes, we particularly, anyone that's considering wanting to adopt siblings or children with special needs, we particularly would sort of encourage them to come forward. We've got a sort of information evening on Thursday the 19th of April here in the Barnstable Library, so anyone that's interested in finding out more about adoption or wanting to inquire, please come along. It's between sort of 6 and 8 at the library.
Well, we'll come back to that in a little while's time. I was just thinking, because you mentioned sibling groups there, are those particularly difficult to find adopters for? Because the last thing that anybody would want to do is to break up sibling groups.
It's interesting, really, because we have some adopters that are desperately keen to adopt a sibling group.
Great.
Because for the reasons that you've just stated, really trying to keep the siblings together. And we also have some adopters that may struggle to adopt a sibling group for a variety of reasons. Adopting a child, as I'm sure Phillipa will sort of articulate a lot better than me, has a massive impact on a family when the child comes to live with you. So if you sort of times that by 2, 3, or in some cases 4, then that's a huge impact on the families.
Absolutely. Well, we take our hats off and admire any person that adopts or fosters a child. We'll talk to Phillipa in a few moments' time, but just one more question really for you, Mark. Is there a need for a particular type of person to become an adopter? Does it take a particular type, or do they, provided they tick the boxes, a certain number of boxes, anyone can do it?
Yeah, pretty much. We welcome, like I said, inquiries from anyone, really, Paul. Obviously, they need the sort of nurturing and caring skills, which is anyone would need to sort of parent a child. But no, we would welcome inquiries from sort of single people, married couples, from all ethnicity groups, irrespective of age and ability. So like I say, I think we, ourselves and adoption services across the country have worked hard to try and break down the barriers and the stereotypes that may be associated previously with adopters. So no, we do really welcome everyone.
Brilliant. Well, again, please, if anyone across North Devon is considering adopting a child, then there is plenty of information on hand. There is this event taking place on the 19th of this month, which we'll come back to in a few minutes' time and just take all the full details on. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break, have a piece of music, and then we'll come back and talk to Phillipa, who is an adopter, and get her side of the story. So we're talking adoption this afternoon, joined by Mark from Adoption Southwest, and we'll be speaking to Phillipa in just a few moments' time, who is an adopter herself. Lulu's just been on the phone, and she said, can we also mention or talk about special guardianship orders? Because apparently Lulu is heavily involved with looking after children. She's got her own blood children as well. She was also fostered herself, which sort of follows on from what we were talking about a few moments ago. So can you just briefly, if it's within your scope of knowledge, talk about the special guardianship orders?
Yes, Paul, yeah. Special guardianship orders have been in place now for around about 11 or 12 years. And there are some similarities with an adoption order, in as much it gives the guardian, the special guardian, around about sort of 90-95% of parental responsibility. The most significant difference being that the birth parents, don't lose parental responsibility. So that's sort of the main difference between an adoption order and a special guardianship.
And the thing that Lulu mentioned as well is that the child retains their again, correct me if I'm using the wrong word, their original identity, so that they get to keep the surname, for example, of their blood parents. Whereas obviously, usually an adopted child will not necessarily, but more often than not, I'm guessing, will take the name of the adopted parents.
That's right.
Is that correct?
And the difference there again with a special guardianship order, they are generally granted to extended family. So the majority of special guardianship orders would be to grandparents. A lot would be to aunts and uncles of the child. And also we have some foster carers that have formed a really close attachment, and the child's formed a really close attachment with them, and they will apply for a special guardianship order as well. So that maintains that, and generally they maintain a contact with their birth parents and create that sort of sense of family identity that you've explained earlier.
So it's a sort of halfway house between fostering and adopting.
Yeah, that's one way of describing it. It is a very useful and increasingly popular order granted by courts. And there again, like I take my hat off to anyone considering adoption, I take my hat off to extended family members and foster carers that consider special guardianship, because they're all working with some of the most vulnerable children that we've got in Devon.
Yeah, absolutely. So well done. We stand up and salute. We've done a lot of that just recently, saluting local people for doing such wonderful things for others. So let's turn to Phillipa now, who is an adopter. So good afternoon, Phillipa. Thanks for coming in. So how long have you been adopting then?
Just over 18 months we've had our little boy.
Wonderful. And how has it changed your life?
Oh, it's changed it for the better. He is amazing. It's not just changed our lives, it's changed the whole family's lives. He's really, a big part of everything we do now.
So was it a tough decision for you and your partner as a family to take that step to adopt?
We did talk about it for a long time before, so we decided to go to one of the open days and discuss and see exactly what entailed, and it was such a good open day. They explained everything, and we come out of the open day thinking, this is definitely for us, and we wanted to pursue it after that.
Because I'm guessing unless you've done it, you've got no idea of what's involved. Now, I know that might sound silly because, having children and being parts of family is what human beings are all about. We've done it since the first day of existence. But I mean, adopting is something, to look after effectively somebody else's child is perhaps an emotional bridge that has to be crossed. And I suppose it works for different people in different ways. So the fact that it's had such a positive impact on you is fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic. Yeah, very positive.
That's great. How did you find the adoption process?
A lot easier than we thought. I think years ago it used to take quite a long time, where it didn't take us very long, and in between I had an operation, so we put it on hold for a couple of months.
Right.
They were very supportive. They let us put it on hold, and they were very supportive, but it didn't take very long at all, and it was actually not a bad process at all. Didn't mind it at all.
So I'm guessing it goes in various stages. So first of all, if you say, look, I want to become an adopter, they then go through, carry out various checks on you, make sure that you are a fit and capable person in order to be able to adopt. Once they've gone through that process, I guess they then have to go through the paperwork process, etc., etc.
Yes.
So roughly, I don't know who's best to answer this, Mark or Phillipa, roughly how long is that process from me saying, I'd like to become an adopter, to the day where I get my new child?
Generally, it's around about 6 months.
Right.
So, but like I say, it can vary on an individual basis, because, like Phillipa said, some people might find that they need to have a break within the process. But generally around 6 months.
As Phillipa said, that is a quicker process than I would have thought it might have taken.
Yeah, I think it was a lot longer years ago, but it's so much quicker now.
The processes they've got sorted out down to
Definitely.
So, what would your advice be? What would you say to anyone who is thinking of or considering adopting?
Go to one of the open days, talk to someone, look into it, because it could well be for you, and like it was for us.
And, if you decide to adopt, as we said a few moments ago, it can be a life-changing situation to be in. Are there mentors? I mean, for example, you've done it now, you're encouraging other people to adopt. Is there a sort of group that adopters can sort of get together, like a network of people, so that if somebody's going through some initial issues that they're not too sure either how to deal with, or finding a few other perhaps emotional issues, is there that help and support there?
Yeah, I go to a group every Tuesday morning with my little boy, and we all get together. We've all adopted a child or children, and we can talk and we can discuss things, and yeah, that is a really positive thing, I find.
And I think, again, that support, it's almost like a lifeline, I'm guessing. That support is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Because you know that you're not going to go, well, so you're not going to go into it blind, but you're not going to be left high and dry once that process has gone through.
No, the support we've received from Devon County Councils after adopting our little boy has been really, really outstanding, I've got to say.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, you both mentioned the event taking place on the 19th, which is, when is that, next week?
No, that's the 19th of April.
Oh, 19th of April, so you've got a few weeks away.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
So that's at the Barnstable Library, between 6 and 8 o'clock. Like I said, on the 19th of April. So at that event, there will be 2 or 3 people from Devon Adoption Services, and they will do a presentation around what it entails to be an adopter, and then also have there will be an adopter themselves there at the presentation, talking about their experiences of adopting a child, and also there'll be sort of a question and answer session, and then if they get a chance then after that to then informally discuss any concerns or any issues they might have, or any inquiries they might have with the workers themselves. And then if they're interested after that, then they can formally register an interest with us.
Okay, so how do we find out more about this in terms of contact telephone numbers, websites, etc.?
Yeah, there's a variety of ways of getting in touch with us, Paul, as now with social media and with the World Wide Web. So if you prefer the phone route, it's 0345 155 1076. So you can call us between 9 and 5 on that number, and someone will take your call and you'll get a chance to speak to a social worker around adoption. Or you can, if you just want to find out more generally about adoption and you're not really sure about whether it's for you, you can go on the Devon Adoption website, so that is Devon Adoption, all one word, .org.uk. Or if you a bit further down the line and you sort of want to directly speak with a social worker, or have an email contact with a social worker, then you can go on the Adopt Southwest website, which is adoptsouthwest, all one word, .org.uk, and it's /North Devon, and there's a sort of like an application form, or like a callback form on there, and if you fill that one in, and we can come back to you either by telephone call or by email, whichever your preference is.
So the bottom line is there's loads of information, loads of help out there for you.
Yeah. And we work, and as we sort of discussed earlier before we went on air, we work closely alongside our colleagues, Families for Children. So likewise, if you can go on their website and they'll talk about Devon Adoption and vice versa, and we run support groups with them. So sort of within Devon, we're all passionate about trying to find forever families for our children in care. So the more the merrier, yeah.
All I can really say is, please, both of you, keep up the great work that you're doing. Thank you for coming in this afternoon. Thank you to Phillipa. It's always great to hear you on adopting, or anyone that's actually doing something to get their view on it. Thank you to Mark as well for coming in to update us. And we will keep note of the contact details. So if you are listening and you weren't able to write those details down, we have them here. Please give us a call this afternoon, and we'll pass those contact details on to you. So Phillipa and to Mark, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you.
And good luck with everything. And I hope the event on the 19th of April goes well. And let's hope that you can find a few more North